enSYNC has developed an integration between IMIS and Sage Intacct, the leading cloud accounting platform that allows for automatic export and import of general journal transactions from IMIS to Sage Intacct. That's right, no more two-step manual export-import process, or even worse, no manually keying in IMIS journal entries to your accounting application. This application is cloud-friendly, but will also work with IMIS 2017. We have replaced the general ledger export functionality in IMIS, including due to, due from transactions and deferred income. This integration will also allow you to take advantage of the powerful dimensions feature in Sage Intacct. The implementation process will include an analysis of the dimension requirements for Sage Intacct. We'll ask you to identify which Sage Intacct dimensions are being used and will be needed for assignment in IMIS, such as entity, location, department, class, and in cases where dimension records need to be created in Sage Intacct, item and project. Project is the most typical type of record that would need to be created to represent either events or funds. In order to be able to take advantage of the power of those Sage Intacct dimensions with IMIS, we need to be able to identify the dimensions needed for any particular product in IMIS. As you can see here, we have created a record in IMIS specifically for identifying those dimensions using custom panels. In the 20.3 cloud version of IMIS, there is now the capability of using what are called standalone panels, which do not need to be tied to any particular contact record. However, because IMIS 2017 does not have that capability, I'm demonstrating how the setup would work in that version. This will ensure that, as you're preparing your roadmap from IMIS 2017 to IMIS Cloud, you'll have a direct upgrade path that will not require re-implementation of financeSYNC. And in either case, whether we're using the contact-related panels or the new standalone panels, the financeSYNC functionality will be the same. Here are examples of dimension codings for some dues, events, fundraising, and store products. I'm just going to quickly add a new dimension definition for another one of our store products. We're taking advantage of the query tools in IMIS to limit this list to only our store items. And we're also taking advantage of IMIS's general lookup validation tables to support the available dimensions which have been brought over from Sage Intacct. During the implementation phase for financeSYNC, we will identify the dimensions used in Sage Intacct and create those corresponding general lookup tables in IMIS for you. Those, in turn, will be used to assist in accurately identifying the dimensions on your products, just like I did for the Building a Strong Team product. In this particular implementation, our event dimensions are coded at the top-level event code. We can, however, code to the function or program level if needed. In addition, if you are using the project dimension in Sage Intacct for your events, we will ensure that any events created in IMIS will automatically be created as a project in Sage Intacct. Likewise, if you have multiple entities in IMIS, the location entity can be pulled from the entity assigned at the product level or at the entity assigned from these dimension panels, and any due to, due from transactions will be handled by the financeSYNC process. Once batches are closed in IMIS, financeSYNC will pull the general journal transactions over to Sage Intacct as IMIS journal transactions. Using a separate transaction definition in Sage Intacct will allow you to easily view any transactions coming directly from IMIS without having to paw through all your general journal transactions. All transactions back in IMIS will be flagged, so there's no chance they can accidentally be exported twice, ensuring data integrity. When we take a look at the details of any of our IMIS batch journal transactions, we can see all the associated details, including the dimensions tied to the products that the client set up in IMIS. Note also in this case the due to, due from transactions that were needed due to multi-entity configuration. Now let me show you how transactions move from IMIS to Sage Intacct using my Best Practices Summit for 2022. Often you need to know whether an event is a success from a financial point of view. As we all know, IMIS does a great job of collecting all of the revenue information for our event. And now with financeSYNC, we can bring that information over into the leading cloud accounting platform so you can get a full picture of where this event stands in real time. Take note of the revenue that we're showing on the IMIS event dashboard, $4,010. We begin by posting the batch with the registrations we captured from our member site earlier. When the batch is posted, we simply export that information from our financeSYNC page. What we're showing here is a manual export of the batch, but during the implementation phase, we will automate that process to run on a nightly schedule for batches that are posted. Allowing the manual export, though, means that you can have up-to-the-minute financial data at your fingertips. Note that after the batch was exported, the export batch option has been removed and the export has been marked as complete. So there's no chance that our batch can accidentally be exported a second time, which goes back to the data integrity I mentioned earlier. With that being said, however, if you determine subsequent to export that a dimension was coded incorrectly, we do provide the ability for users with the appropriate security access to mark a batch as unexported. This will allow you to delete or reverse the journal entry in Sage Intacct, make the dimension correction in IMIS on the dimension panels, and then re-export the batch. So now, upon the successful export, let's go back and take a look at the Sage Intacct platform again. I'm going to move over and take a look at our controller dashboard. On the dashboard, we've set up a P&L report from our Best Practices Summit event here at the top. As you can see, the revenue number ties between the two systems. As you may be aware, each dimension becomes available in various ways through the Sage Intacct standard reporting tools. So in this case, we've filtered this report only to the Best Practices Summit project dimension. Going back to our report, you can see that expenses have also been recorded against this project via Sage Intacct. And altogether, it gives you an up-to-the-minute view of how your event is performing as it's happening. And because of the drill down capabilities available in Sage Intacct, you will be able to drill all the way back to see each IMIS transaction and which batch it belonged to. So you can have that peace of mind of where the information originated in IMIS. Implementation of financeSYNC will take approximately 2 to 3 weeks if you're already using Sage Intacct, or for clients that are implementing Sage Intacct for the first time, we'll ask that you add a project task to that implementation timeline.